Hello everybody, we're finally into the off season for year 2, the end of the 2014 season. Old Dominion, we crushed Fresno State in the bowl game, so 8-5 is the finishing record for Old Dominion. A good season, good first year in the Conference USA, and here's the bowl results. If you want to really look at these, pause the video as always. I'm just kind of scrolling down here to give you more of the bowl games, and we'll see how some of these turned out. And of course, we do have bowl season in real life coming up, starting I believe Saturday, 21st I think is the first day of bowl year. So awesome time of year. I love it. Love everything about it. Although I can't wait for a little bit of playoff action next year. And here's the big games. Rose Bowl, they all delivered, I think. Texas A&M 32-28 over USC. Fiesta, Texas over Miami. UCF beat Oregon. And of course, the national championship, Florida beats Ohio State. So yes, Florida is your 2014 national champions, which after the 2013 season that they've had in real life, it would be hard to believe. But anyway, there's our finish. 5th place in the East Division, because we only went 4-4 in the conference. And there's the West Division. UTEP was that division champion. We finished 9th overall in the conference, but as far as overall records go, we had one of the better overall records at 8-5, so not bad at all. And so we'll look at the final coaches poll. Florida, obviously, number 1, the only undefeated team left, but everybody else finishing close behind, kind of, with one loss each. And now 11 through 20, Connecticut. UConn suddenly coming out of nowhere to be a decent football team. Their Marshall making their appearance in the top 25 Conference USA teams have such a hard time getting into the polls. So there you go. We'll look at the final season stats. Taylor Heineke, 2,448 yards, 21 touchdowns, 20 interceptions, 61% completion. Tyree Lee led rushing with 1,118 yards and 8 touchdowns. Harvey Taylor had 258 and 5 touchdowns, and there's the rest of the stats there. Receiving wise, Antonio Vaughn, 51 receptions for 605 yards and only 3 touchdowns. Blair Roberts had 40 receptions. Connor Martin had 30, and so on and so forth. The touchdowns were fairly spread out among a good number of receivers, so there you go. Blair Roberts led with 5. Clearly right there. Now we'll get to the defensive stats. Caleb Taylor, Malik Johnson, Marcus Massey, Javon Neal, top tacklers on the team. Caleb Taylor led far and away with 78, but Julian Randolph, 17 tackles for loss and 6 sacks, followed by Caleb Taylor and TJ Ricks in the tackles for loss category. So some good years, especially for some of our senior players. But look at Roshan Doherty, Chris Cleveland, combined for 5 sacks, the freshman linebackers there. And Reggie Owens led with 5 interceptions, tied for a school record in a single season. Then Anthony White, 15 of 18, a long of 46, and hit all his extra points, so a good season for him. And there we'll just look. We started off 5-7 in 2013, and then capped it off with a bowl win at 8-5 this year. So high hopes going into next season. I won't go too much into the coaching carousel. I'll detail that. Some coaching changes as we go through the season next year. So we're just kind of going through some paces here, and I do get an offer from Florida as a defensive coordinator. They want to hire me as a defensive coordinator, but this isn't really a coaching dynasty. This is not really about the coach, it's about the team. I'm doing this about Old Dominion. So here are our players leaving. And we're losing our top 2. Actually, I believe our top 4 wide receivers are leaving this year. Blair Roberts, 60 career receptions, 8 touchdowns, 889 yards. Antonio Vaughn will leave us with 1,003 career yards and 6 touchdowns, a total of 78 receptions. And yes, I am going through a number of these players' career stats because they were significant players in the Dynasty. And 2014 Returner of the Year, not the most active defensive player because he was lower on the cornerback depth chart there, but did return a lot of great kicks there. Heineke finishes with 4,097 yards. He completed 328 of 552, 32 touchdowns. Unfortunately, he threw more interceptions at 34. But overall, not bad. A couple of rushing touchdowns in his career as well. We lose some really solid offensive linemen. And then Reggie Owens. All 5 of his career interceptions came in year 2, interestingly enough. We'll miss you, Eric Lewis. 53 tackles, 9 for a loss, 2 career sacks. Keenan Terry didn't see much action, but he did get an interception. And Dominique Wynn-Bailey, the defensive tackle, 55 tackles, 21 for a loss, 10 career sacks. We're going to miss him big time. Chris Smith didn't see much action. Gerard Chillo didn't really get too many opportunities to catch the ball, but Tyree Lee, 2287, totaling for 5.7 per rush, 21 touchdowns. And he had 18 rushes of 20 or more yards in his career. So there you go. Julian Randolph, the all-time leading sack man right now for Old Dominion career-wise. 16 in his career there. So Kyle Bottoms, right guard, he will be missed because he is gone. Larry Pinkard, 60 receptions in his career, 8 of those for touchdowns, 756 total yards. Jaquil Bailey didn't get quite as much, but he still will be recognized. Rodney Hunter didn't do anything. He really never saw any playing time, so I forgot about him. And hell, we'll get a quick look at some draft results here and look at Alabama. Unsurprisingly loaded, especially in the first round. Just completely dominating the draft. Kadeem Carey, unsurprisingly, goes in the first round. He is a really, really good halfback for Arizona. So there's that. Florida sent a bunch of dudes to the NFL. Look at that. Holy balls. Teddy Bridgewater, first rounder. I had to highlight that. I wanted to see where he was going. So, and then Kenny Bell, the only guy out of Nebraska this year to be drafted in the game. My favorite receiver right now. And then, of course, Ohio State, Miller, Shazier, all go in the first round, unsurprisingly. And that's about all I wanted to highlight there. And we do get a couple of transfers. Left end from Buffalo and an outside linebacker from Maryland. And they're both freshmen, which means we're going to be able to maximize their eligibility. They won't be able to play this year, as I'm sure most of you know, but if you don't, if you transfer, you lose a year, or you have to sit out a year. And then last bit of recruiting, we got right guard David Flores and defensive tackle Anthony Cody. We did lose the battle to Jesse Hill, Sean Jacobs, and John Lowe, but that's okay. We would finish with the 64th ranked recruiting class in the country, which is right smack in the middle of everybody. So we did a good job, I think, all things considered. But you look at the top recruiting classes, and there's no real surprises. Maybe UCF getting 10 4-stars is a little surprising, but they've been a good, successful team the past couple of years. So, and when you're in Orlando, Florida, I don't see it being too hard to recruit there. So, and here's just a final overview of the recruits that are coming. 2 4-stars and a number of 3-star recruits there, and a few lower guys, but it's not always about the star rating. You gotta look a little past that, because even the lowest rated players can sometimes surprise you. Also, going into the 2015 season and onward, there will be no automatic qualifying bids for BCS bowl games. I've eliminated those, so it's all going to be at large, or it'll be determined on how well you do. No more tie-ins for the BCS games. And now we finally get to the preseason action for 2015. This is really exciting because we can start looking at our schedule, our depth chart, and all of that. But first, here's our recruiting needs. I won't go into recruiting in this video any further than this, but we need a tackle and a kicker. Not much else on offense. We're pretty set. We'll look at how young we are on offense. And then defense, we'll need a defensive tackle, outside linebacker, and strong safety, as well as a punter. So need to fill some spots on that side of the ball for sure. And yeah, we got some redshirting action going on here. Scott Sullivan, definitely going to redshirt him. We're good to go on halfbacks this year, but we will need him in the future because we're going to be graduating some guys in a couple of years. And Kyle Davidson, again, we're good at wide receiver, so he can afford to sit out a year and focus on getting better. I'm actually redshirting Alex Hardy. I considered doing the other guy, Mike Fitch, but I didn't. And then we have Wallace at cornerback. That's the last guy that was redshirted there. So now we're on to the depth chart, and I am starting redshirt freshman quarterback Josh Silva. He is faster than David Washington, more quicker. And another reason doing this is he has a better arm, throwing power-wise. He does sacrifice a little bit of accuracy compared to Washington, but he has a little more power behind his throws, and he is faster. The offense that we're implementing this year, and I can't say that right, but David Dixon, look at the speed he has. No doubt he will start. But we're running the Northwestern's playbook this year. I'm going to be a little more spread. I was initially not considering doing that, but I'm actually liking the personnel that I have. It really fits more like a spread option team. So with Silva and Dixon, definitely a lot of speed. So we'll go away from the pro-style offense and move forward to a more spread option attack. And nothing really changing at the tight end position. See our offensive line here. Jay Franklin starting at left guard. Center is Troy Butler, the junior, backed by Mike Fitch, the freshman, who just comes in this year. David Flores, the freshman, along with Matt Dean. Very young at the right guard position, so it'll be interesting to see how they hold up on that side of the line. And at right tackle, senior Connor Mewborn. Again, he's returning for yet another season. His final year at senior. So there you go. And I decided to move Eli Anderson at right tackle because I was really concerned about that, or at right guard, because I was concerned about that right guard position being weak. So I feel that he had enough skills to handle the guard position even though he is a right tackle. And then I'll look at left end here. Andrew Miller leads that side. Andrew Everett, or was it Andrew Miller? I couldn't pay attention. But Galen Evans at defensive tackle, followed by John Jordan, one of my recruits, which I'm very proud of. Anthony Cody will back it up at the end of the chart. I don't know what I'm saying. But here we go. TJ Ricks, Caleb Taylor, DJ Simon. Be looking at all these linebackers. We have I think this is the best linebacking core I've ever had in any game ever. I think they are absolutely... Their ratings may not totally tell the entire story because these guys are fantastic. Larry Alston, Rob Mahan. Jairus Gonzalez, I recruited him, but he only had 2 years of eligibility coming out of junior college, so this will be his final season. And he is the #1 cornerback, followed by freshman Justin Weddle, and then Jack Tocho, who transferred from North Carolina State after year 1. He had sit out last season, so he is now a sophomore. Rob Thompson will be the #4 spot for the cornerback, and that'll be that. I believe our 5th spot will go to Donald Simmons, who is a freshman. Yeah, redshirt freshman. I recruited him in year 1. Redshirted him last year, and so definitely looking pretty good. I mean, we're fairly young on that cornerback side of the ball other than Gonzalez. And then our safety position has not changed really at all. Marcus Massey, Malik Johnson, then Anthony Wyatt, Ricky Seegers. Nothing changing there as far as from last year to this year. And then, yeah, I know I'm doing a lot of talking here, so I do apologize if you're kind of out of it at this point, but Donald Simmons will be returning our kicks and punts this year. I feel like he's got some talent to take care of that. And so, one last thing here before we can start year 3, we'll get to our schedule. As you can see, our schedule has NC State, Ohio State, Idaho. I didn't really entirely like that schedule, and so we're going to be playing at Nebraska to start the week 1. Yes, my team and my for real team at Nebraska, then home against Virginia, Western Kentucky, then home against Eastern Michigan, at North Texas, Southern Miss, at Idaho, at FIU, at Marshall, Florida Atlantic, Middle Tennessee, and then UAB to finish the season just like last year. So that's our schedule. That's right, we'll be opening at the Sea of Red. A big first game for our freshman quarterback and our freshman halfback, although they are redshirted. They did have a redshirt year, but it'll be interesting just throwing them into that big game right off the bat. Nebraska did have kind of a down year last season, though, so maybe we can take advantage of that in year 3 here and get something going for the Monarchs. So, coming off an 8-5 season, how will Old Dominion do in year 3? We're hoping. I'm putting my sights set on a conference championship appearance. At least make the conference championship game, win the division, and see what we can do from there. But there's a long ways to go before we can even talk about that. So that's pretty much it. We've taken care of all the offseason, all the preseason, everything that needs to be done. I will show you guys some of the recruiting as well as we get into it a little bit deeper next week in the next game. So I will see you all for the first game of 2000.